Well, welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show. Welcome in. Phillies had a day off. Thank you, Mother Nature. You know, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. I really missed the Phillies yesterday. Oh, boy, did I miss the Phillies. And then shortly after, of course, they get canceled or postponed for today for a doubleheader. I scurry on outside to make sure I bring in all the, the kids' toys into the shed. Because we had a tornado warning in the area. Fortunately, nothing worth bragging about here in my neck of the woods. So that's good. I hope everybody listening, everybody watching had the same kind of luck that I did, where you just had some heavy rain. And that's it. And some wind, a lot of wind. But hopefully you guys had it pretty easy as well. We'll get into the Phillies conversation today. What happened while the Phillies lay dormant? We'll talk about the doubleheader today, and we'll talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. The Philadelphia Eagles quarterback is the third best player in the NFL, according to those he plays against. That's right. According to the players, the NFL has voted Jalen Hurts as the number 3 player in their top 100 list. The only quarterback to beat him out is the quarterback that everybody says is the only guy better than Jalen Hurts in this area. People that really know and really watch Jalen Hurts, and apparently the players pay attention to the league. He's the second best quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes, who was number 1 on the NFL's top 100. So in total, here are your Eagles that made the top 100. Devontae Smith just squeaking in there at number 100. Then Darius Slay at 65, Hassan Reddick at 48, Lane Johnson at 41, Jason Kelsey at 37, A.J. Brown at 22, and then no Eagle was mentioned until number 3, and that is Jalen Hurts. How incredible! Wasn't even on the list last year, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about this list today. We're going to talk about some players that can crack that top 100 next year that are members of the Philadelphia Eagles. There are 2 names in particular that jump to mind when I think about who could make the list next year. Also, to break down the Eagles further as to what went on at the link for open practice on Sunday, and to talk about the upcoming season and resuming training camp today, Brandon Lee Gouton will join the show today, ladies and gentlemen, from Bleeding Green Nation. So I look forward to having that conversation with Brandon. But this is a tremendous honor for Jalen Hurts. This, of all the lists that come out, and I got to tell you, nowadays, the list game, oh, baby, the list game has never been better than it is these days with your TikToks and your Instagrams and your Facebooks. Like it used to be like a BuzzFeed would do like a list, and then everybody would jump on that, right? Whatever it would be. And like lists is what grabs people's attention, all right? So the list game in the social media world is just on fire right now. But of all the lists in all the land, this is the list that I actually pay attention to. Now, I still hate it because I just don't like lists. But when it comes, like if I have a to-do list, that's different. That really helps me organize everything I need to do during the day. And with my Family Guy brain, as I like to describe it to you guys, I know why I need that list. Today, I got quite the list, okay? Things I got to do today. But this is the only list that I really give a damn about, the NFL Top 100, because this is voted on by the people that actually play against the other people on the list. And for the Eagles to get that kind of consideration, and for Jalen Hurts in particular to get that kind of consideration, is amazing. And it shows, and it's a great testament to the work that this man has put in. Think about this for a second. This is what hit me when I was looking at this stuff yesterday. Jalen Hurts went into last off season, not this one that we're still wrapping up before the regular season starts. We're in training camp. But Jalen Hurts went into the off season with, is he the guy? Okay. He then finishes second in the MVP voting. He then, unfortunately, finishes second in the Super Bowl. So, Super Bowl appearance, nonetheless. He gets to be the highest paid quarterback, albeit for 20 minutes in the NFL. And he is voted the third best player in the NFL. I can't think of a bigger, fatter, more emphatic exclamation point on the answer yes to, is he the guy, more so than what Jalen Hurts has done in his second year as a starter in the NFL. going into his third year as a starter in the NFL. And there's only a bigger, fatter exclamation point that he could put on in this coming season, which is win the MVP, win the Super Bowl, become the number one player in the NFL. And then, maybe restructure the contract. I'm kidding, don't restructure the contract. But this is absolutely incredible, and this is fantastic for Jalen Hurts. What a great piece of evidence to show how hard he worked in both the film room, on the field, in the weight room, everything he has done to make sure that him as a quarterback in Philadelphia is the franchise quarterback in Philadelphia. Absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. So deserving of this honor. All right. Patrick Mahomes is number one. Jalen Hurts is number three. Who could be number two? Who could be the second guy? It wouldn't be a guy that was available to the Eagles, like a guy they could have on their team, would it? Not a guy that they passed on in an NFL draft to take some guy by the name of, I don't know, he played the same position as the other guy. They took Jalen Reagor, and then the guy that was rated second on the list it was Justin Jefferson. Oh my goodness gracious. It's gonna haunt us forever. And I know it shouldn't, because we got Jalen Hurts. Maybe the world would be different. Maybe the world would be a different place. But it wouldn't. They would be here, and the Eagles would have 3 Super Bowls. Oh, Eagles could have had both those. Hey, look, I'm very excited. I just told you how excited I am. So how happy I am that Jalen Hurts is number 3 on this list. But the guy that's number 2 is a guy that the Eagles could have also had. Just think about that. Just let that settle in for just a second. And PJ, I know you like your Vikings. Justin Jefferson should be an Eagle. Not going to do it. I'm not going to do the thing where I focus on the negative. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it because I'm very happy that this is our quarterback, that he is on this list. And, you can't change the past. What is it? Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, right? Remember that old thing? My grandmother had that in beautiful calligraphy. She had it, now that I think about it, she had it on the way walking into the bathroom. I never really thought about that until this exact second. Whatever I can't change in there, I guess. Me and my 21 first cousins on the way in there, growing up. Anyway, but yeah, sort of. I couldn't be more excited for Jalen Hurts. We will get into this conversation later today because even at number 3, look, it's very easy if you're Jalen Hurts, I think, and this is the scenario I've laid out for you guys multiple times. If you're Jalen Hurts and you're looking in the mirror, what are you working on? What are you saying to yourself that you really need to work on? Specifically about your game. Going into last season, we could talk about the deep ball and the accuracy and breaking down defense in front of you and taking what the defense gives you and reading defenses and all that stuff. He's done that and passed with flying colors, okay? There are specific things about his game that I'm sure he still wants to improve upon it or just get better at, things that he's good at but wants to be great at, okay? Or things that he's great at that he wants to be phenomenal at, okay? Well, with Jalen Hurts, I think one of the things that I think is very specific that I think this offense in general wants to do is make sure you're utilizing everybody. Jalen Hurts is an extremely versatile player, as we all know. By the way, watching the top 100 video that announced Jalen Hurts as number 3, it's a 6-minute and 20-second video. It is required viewing for Eagles fans. Absolutely required. Behind the scenes, takes of NFL defensive ends, defensive tackles, guys that are in pursuit of Jalen Hurts. It's absolutely fantastic. It's required viewing for all Eagles fans everywhere. Okay, I retweeted it. It's on my timeline, whatever. So go check that out, right after the show, of course. But watching Jalen Hurts, he's an extremely versatile player. And they talk about in the video how if he doesn't beat you with his arm, he'll beat you with his legs. And if he doesn't beat you with his legs, he'll beat you with his arm. And it's mesmerizing to watch these guys talk about Jalen Hurts in this type of setting with this amount of respect. Hey, you can talk all you want about other lists not valuing or undervaluing Jalen Hurts. This list does him right. I think it does him right. Other ones did him pretty dirty. This one does him right, and it's the only one that really matters. So these players are talking about the versatility in Jalen Hurts' game, and I think every Eagles fan knows just how versatile Jalen Hurts is. You hear that word versatility. You hear that word, it's like a buzzword. It's like, okay, well, how versatile is the guy? Very versatile, extremely versatile. This offense needs to be that versatile. Now, you might say, well, look, last year they're pretty versatile. I mean, pretty good at throwing, pretty good at running. Everybody got the ball. Sure, definitely. But the position groups, particularly running back, aren't as versatile as they could be. Now, they're still pretty damn good, so don't think I'm hating on anybody. But you went in here and you got Devontae Smith, a guy who could catch 50 passes, okay? You got a guy like Kenny Gainwell who could certainly catch his share of that workload as well. You have two guys here in DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell that can also run the football. You brought in a guy like Rashad Penny that if he stays healthy, he can run between the tackles pretty well. You got a guy like Boston Scott, but pretty much you could just leave him plugged in until Giants week, and then unplug him and set him out there to run around and do his thing, and let him slay the Giants. Okay. You have a guy like Trey Sermon that every chance he gets, Nick Sirianni really tries to pump the guy up. So we'll see what happens there. But you have a running back room that is going to be very good. I have a lot of confidence, a lot of faith in this running back room. One of the things I want to see from these running backs this year is actually using them in the pass game more so than we have seen really in the last 15 years. Maybe as much as you saw with Darren Sproles when he was here. And still milking every ounce of the talent that he had in that 35-year-old body. The Eagles have that kind of potential this year. They have receivers, they have wide receivers, and Devontae Smith, 100. And then you have a guy in A.J. Brown, number 22. They're going to throw to their receivers. They have a really good tight end in Dallas Goedert. They got great weapons here. The one thing I'd like to see, just as a pebble to throw in here, is to see them throw their running backs a little bit more. It's not even necessarily the screen game, and I've said this, but it seems like every year, the screen game coming back, I feel like it is going to be a part of the offense. I don't think it's going to be a huge part of the offense. Maybe Brian Johnson's idea is, we could definitely get more screens in here. Let me take a little bit of workload off Jalen Hurts when they're so concentrating on stopping Jalen Hurts. And they want to get after Jalen Hurts. Let's get that screen game involved a little bit more. And last year, the bubble screen, I understand it was something that was Jalen Hurts used. It's something that he used a lot. I remember Shane Steichen talking about the bubble screen with Jalen Hurts. That's something that he just found to be a very comfortable play. He developed a comfort with it, so he decided to use it a lot. I'm not talking about a bubble screen. I'm talking about getting your running back out there in the flat with 3 or 4 offensive linemen in front of him looking to block downfield for an easy 20 to 30-yard gain, something like that. That's what I'd love to see from Jalen Hurts this year. That's what I'd love to see from Brian Johnson this year. That's what I'd love to see from Nick Sirianni when it comes to the game planning during the week. You have, right now, a great running back room to do that in DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell. Those two guys can catch passes. They can run the football. You put either in there. The defense is going to be able to look back there at either of them and go, there's definitely a pass, so be ready for it. Both of them are good at it. So they're diverse enough to be able to do that. I want to see it incorporated this year. And it's not just a Jalen Hurts thing. It's a game planning thing. It's a play calling thing. I don't know if it's something that Jalen Hurts, if it's one of those things that Jalen Hurts feels like he needs to improve on. Like maybe he doesn't feel like he's good at those little touch passes, whatever, out of the backfield. Whatever the case may be, I'd love to see him do it. And here's one of the things. We have seen players throughout sports just not be good at one particular thing. Donovan McNabb is the guy that jumps to mind here. And I know a lot of people that watch Donovan McNabb watching the show right now, worm burners, whatever. Okay, I'm not even talking about that. It's the touch passes on flat routes. I mean, look, Brian Westbrook and him obviously had a great connection. That was easy for Donovan. But other passes where he's throwing to wide receivers, everything was a bullet. It didn't have to be a bullet. It was one thing that he just was hard for him to get over. And that's when you talk about worm burners. Yeah, he'd be rifling the ball into the ground. I don't know if Jalen Hurts has that thing yet. I haven't seen that thing from Jalen Hurts. Maybe it is throwing to running backs out of the backfield. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's very comfortable on those touch passes. Maybe that's why they haven't done it as much. But here's one thing that you could say it's rose-colored glasses. You could say it's being a homer. I have confidence in Jalen Hurts that whatever is in front of him that might be something that is tough, any aspect of his game, the man, I have every ounce of confidence he is going to put the work in to get better at it. So whether it's a touch pass, whether it's a nice little loft on a screen to a running back, whether it's anything like that, I have confidence Jalen Hurts is going to be able to get over it. He's going to put in the work to make sure that he does get over it, to expand his game to that point. It's like we talk about it a lot in other sports. Basketball is a big example of this, where, we talked about Michael Jordan's development and adding the fadeaway to his game and all that stuff. And then Kobe later adding the fadeaway to his game. And guys always looking to have something in their arsenal to make sure that they are maximizing their potential in the NFL at all times. Always finding something to add to the arsenal. That's a wonderful thing, a beautiful trait of any athlete. I think Jalen Hurts has that same type of mindset, that he's always looking to improve. Things that he's not good at, he wants to improve upon. So if this is something they're going to incorporate in their game, I'd love to see it, because look, he's already shown me that he's not terrible at it. Maybe he's just not as comfortable. It's possible for those, for both those things to be true. Yeah, I can do it, but I just don't like doing it. I'm not comfortable doing it. I think it's a risky play. It gets picked off. It goes to the house, something like that. It could be that. It could just be something that the Eagles haven't dialed up. Simple as that. I think we are going to see more throws out of the backfield this year, especially with them trying to take away the deep ball from Jalen Hurts, take away the deep ball from Devontae Smith, take away the deep ball from A.J. Brown, and give those opportunities maybe to guys that are going to be staying a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage for them to get beat by the running backs that they have in this stable of RBs they got in that running back room. So that's what I'm going to be looking forward to seeing in the not-too-distant future when it comes to Jalen Hurts in the upcoming season. But so far, he is getting every accolade, every ounce of praise that he should be getting, and I'm very excited to see that for him and have that be our guy. That's our quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. That's our quarterback. You got to love every second of it. It's really a wild thing looking back on this weekend on the Philadelphia Phillies. And it's a wild thing to think about the fan base coming out to support Trey Turner, to see the thank you Philly sign there from the Phillies and Trey Turner, right? It really is a remarkable thing. And I do look forward to the Phillies trotting onto the field today to look at, taking on the Washington Nationals in a, what do they call it? A one admission doubleheader? Just going for 4:05. We start things off tonight. I look forward to seeing the Phillies back out there tonight because, as I said, absence does certainly make the heart grow fonder. And when I see this game tonight, in particular, I'm going to be looking for one name. And if you haven't seen this name yet, anytime you get a 28-year-old rookie, I find that to be amazing. And tonight, the Phillies are going to have a 28-year-old rookie in the field at some point today. I don't know when it's going to be, if it's going to be in game one when you got Zach Wheeler taking on Trevor Williams. I don't know if it's going to be game two immediately thereafter. But the Phillies are going to have a infielder, a third baseman in particular, out there in the field named Weston Wilson, who is, like I said, 28 years old. He's out of High Point, North Carolina. That's going to be looking to make his major league debut. 6'3", 28-year-old. Birthday's on September 11th of all birthdays, right? But he's going to be making his big league debut for the Phillies after being a 17th round pick many years ago in the Milwaukee Brewers farm system. Made his way to Philadelphia, and he has put up some numbers. And yes, he is a right-handed bat. So maybe this is one of the guys that Dave Dombrowski was talking about when it came to having a guy in-house that can solve the right-handed bat issues. But he does hit with some pop. He's got 25 home runs at the AAA level this season for Lehigh Valley. He has been a bit of a bopper, but having his best home run season this year for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. He bats about 261. He's got about a 331 on base percentage, so he can get on base. A 361 on base percentage, so he can get on base. That's one name I'm going to be looking for in this doubleheader today with the Phillies and Nationals to be making his big league debut. And you know what? Look, we all know the Phillies could use a right-handed bat. Maybe this is the guy who can come off the bench and give you some help. Also spelling Alec Boehm from flipping back and forth, maybe for 2 games. Maybe this will be an opportunity for him to be able to go out there and have some hacks for the Phils. So look forward to seeing him do that. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on the Rutherford Orthopedics guest line. We're going to talk to our friend Brandon Lee Gowton. I want to get the skinny on all things Eagles. We didn't talk about the 100 list. It hadn't come out yet with Jalen Hurts on there, but I wanted to talk about the practice, of course, at the open practice at Lincoln Financial Field, and what we should make of Miles Jack, what we should make of Zach Cunningham, and the linebacker position right now with the Kobe Dean on the mend. So we talk about all that and more with our friend Brandon Lee Gowton of Bleeding Green Nation. Here is BLG. Right now from Bleeding Green Nation, one of our favorites, Brandon Lee Gowton. What's up there, BLG?
Hey, Mark. How's it going? Glad to be here.
It's always great to have you on. Make sure you guys are following BLG on Twitter as well as Threads also. And make sure if you weren't there at Lincoln Financial Field for the open practice, you read all his observations for Eagles training camp practice notes from the link on bleedinggreennation.com. I know a lot of people talk about it. I wasn't there in the flesh. I was following along at open practice, of course, and you can feel it. Any camera, any phone that was out taking video, anybody like yourself that was tweeting live video or tweeting videos or whatever it might have been, putting it out there on the internet, you really can feel it. It comes through the TV, it comes through the phone, it comes through the screen. What was it like down there on Sunday night?
Yeah, the Eagles announced an attendance of like almost 30,000 last year in 2022. This year, they're supposedly over 50,000. So clearly, a big increase from year to year after going to the Super Bowl. Energy was great. I mean, the intros for the players that Dave Spadaro was doing, like even guys like Marcus Mariota were getting like big cheers from the crowd. They were pumped up. It wasn't the sharpest practice, I'll have to be honest, but in terms of the energy in the building, I also saw a big swath of the new Kelly green jerseys out there. So people are really juiced up for this team.
All right. Now, you mentioned Marcus Mariota and you mentioned practice not going so great. One of the observations I know you had was that the backup quarterback situation for the Eagles doesn't look so great so far. Take me through that.
Yeah, look, he's a backup, right? Like, you're not expecting your backup to look amazing out there, but still, I think it's reasonable to say that Marcus Mariota has disappointed relative to expectation, especially as a passer. As a runner, he looks great. I think he might be faster than Jalen Hurts. Like, he looks really good as a runner, but, it helps that in practice, you can't touch the quarterback. So certainly he's being aided by that. But I think the takeaway here with Marcus Mariota is that if he has to play any kind of meaningful game action, it has to be a run-heavy attack. Like, they can't have him throw the ball 30 times. It has to be like 20 times or so. Like, they really need to limit his throwing attempts and make use of his legs and his mobility because the throws just haven't been there. And look, he's obviously not working with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert and the starting offensive line, but there are still throws that are there to be made to wide-open targets that he's just missing.
Mm-hmm. While we're on the subject of quarterback, I want to, obviously talk about QB1, Jalen Hurts. From last year to this year, I know a lot of people are expecting, a little bit more improvement from him. Hopefully, he walks away with some hardware, whether that be a Lombardi trophy or an MVP trophy. Is there anything in particular that you're noticing from Jalen Hurts from last year to this year as far as things that he's really working on or things that you've heard from the coaching staff or teammates that Jalen Hurts has really been working on to try to take his game to the next level?
I just think he looks better overall. It's not been like an A+ training camp from him. He had a really hot stretch there, and like day 3, day 4, he's cooled off a little bit since then. But on the whole, I just think he looks overall better than where he was at this time last year. I think people maybe forget because of how good of a regular season he had, that he wasn't like amazing in training camp last year. I thought he was good, he was fine, but he wasn't like, oh wow, this is a night and day difference from his 2021 season. And I think we are seeing a leap here from Jalen Hurts going into this season. And that's what you need when you give him the big $50 million a year contract. So, I think he's ready to take his game to a new level, just, sharpening, refining, accuracy, really like pinpoint passes that he's making. He had a really good throw at the link on Sunday night where he fits a ball right over Reed Blankenship, who was playing underneath to A.J. Brown along the sideline in a 2-minute drill. He's just looking more and more like a veteran quarterback out there.
Sounds great to me. To flip it on the defensive side of the thing, the Eagles made a couple of moves here recently. And, yes, they could say they need depth, but one of the things that Nick Sirianni highlighted on Sunday was the idea of competition. Competition is one of their core values. And I can't help but think, especially with a guy like Miles Jack or whether that be Zach Cunningham out here now, those guys are going to be competing for roles now because nobody seems to be really set in stone. What should we make of this linebacker acquisition?
Yeah, the Eagles haven't really stood out. The Eagles linebackers haven't stood out to this point in training camp. That's a big contrast from last year with TJ Edwards, Kaiser White. They were making plays in training camp. Even the lesser guys like Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor just got cut. Like, you saw activity, you saw plays being made. You're not really seeing that from anyone so much. If anyone, Christian Ellis a little bit. But when he's standing out the most, that's probably not the best situation to be in. Obviously, Nakobe Dean currently dealing with an injury. The Eagles expect him back soon. But look, before training camp, we all knew the deal here that linebacker was not looking pretty on paper. I think the Eagles are taking an approach that I thought they would, and that they would give Nakobe Dean, Nicholas Morrow, Christian Ellis some practice reps early in camp to see what they have. And then if they didn't like what they saw or seeing there, and clearly they weren't, they'd bring in some more competition. That's what they're doing here with both Zach Cunningham and Myles Jack. And look, those are some recognizable names, former second-round picks, but like, these are guys who are free agents for a reason, in the sense that like their playmaking numbers over the past few years are way down. These aren't guys who are like regularly getting interceptions and forced fumbles. They're veterans with experience. That's nice, but it's not even guaranteed necessarily that they make the roster. I think it's about throwing enough things at the linebacker position to see if something sticks.
Yeah, this isn't to go in the Wayback Machine for a second, just because it's a name I like mentioning. This isn't Levon Kirkland. Like, this isn't going way back there to get guys that are past their prime that either talk to their hand just to make a good play or whatever it might be. But if you had to take a guess right now, Brandon, and obviously Nakobe Dean's out, where are you leaning? You like that Levon Kirkland reference, didn't you? Where are the Eagles going if you had to take a guess right now, week one, who's their starting linebackers?
I mean, Nakobe Dean's going to be the main guy, of course.
Okay.
They are going to give him every chance to fail, really. They are high on him. I think he hasn't really flashed a ton, really, since the Eagles have drafted him in terms of practice action. Thought he did some good things in garbage time in 2022, but small sample size in garbage time. So we need to see more from Nakobe Dean. He's going to be the top guy. He's the green dot. He's going to be calling the defense. Next to him, man, it could be your rotation. You're asking me to go on the record, and I can't just give you a cop-out answer here. So I'll say right now Christian Ellis steps up, because only because I've seen him make the most plays, and I can't say that Morrow or Myles Jack or Zach Cunningham, who I haven't even seen practice yet at the time we're recording this, I don't know what they have. So Ellis has made some plays, and that's better than no plays to me.
Yeah, we are recording this now, and we're going to play it the day before the season starts. We're not even going to hold on to it and hold you to this linebacker prediction. No. Of course, just for the record, we are recording this on Monday afternoon. To be played, of course, for Tuesday morning show. Who is standing out to you other than linebackers? Is there anyone really jumping off the field to you, really jumping off to you as far as a guy that is grabbed attention that's under the radar?
Yeah, it's not a training camp that really fits that as much. Usually there's that guy every year. You could say maybe a Reed Blankenship last year, especially in hindsight. It's easy to say that, but it's really been about the stars who've been standing out. Like I said, Jalen Hurts earlier, but A.J. Brown still dominant. Devontae Smith looks awesome. It's almost to the point where it's boring. It's like, oh yeah, he's really good. And you don't write it down in your or for me, for my training camp notes, because it's just it's what we expect. And when players graduate to that level, it's a good thing. In the past, that's been LaShawn McCoy, Zach Ertz. These guys are just so good that you're not going to write down when they have a good play, because, yeah, that's what you expect that from them. But that's a really good thing. We shouldn't take that for granted when you have players develop into that kind of consistency. I guess not super under the radar, but a name worth watching, and certainly from a fantasy perspective, DeAndre Swift has certainly been active, especially as a pass catcher. I still think the Eagles are going to rotate all those running backs. I don't think Swift has run away with the lead by any means, but I do have, it's undeniable that he's been getting a lot of targets thrown his way in practice. And it seems like that's going to be more of an emphasis this year as a whole, the Eagles passing to the running backs. And I think DeAndre Swift's going to be a big part of that.
One name that I keep on seeing, whether it's you writing it or anyone there at training camp writing this name, I'm shocked the amount of times I have seen this name pop up. Kayvon Wallace. I thought, Sidney Brown being here now, of course, Reed Blankenship stepping up, bringing in Terrell Edmonds, and now all of a sudden, more than ever, I'm seeing Kayvon Wallace's name being brought up. Has he really been that much of an improvement, or is he a lack of options? What has Kayvon Wallace done to grab some headlines?
I definitely think it's not like Kayvon Wallace has been out here, making huge plays every single day, but I think it's fair to say that he's exceeded expectations, and admittedly they were low, but he's getting a lot of first team action next to Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship starting as safety. He's been up with the first team, only with the first team every day. So he's locked in there. The question is, who starts next to him? Is it Terrell Edmonds? Is it Kayvon Wallace? I mean, I think all three of those guys are going to play to some extent. We're seeing Edmonds kind of get some linebacker snaps. It could be, it could be him next to Nakobe Dean, by the way, at least for some kind of percentage of the time, because the Eagles have putting Terrell Edmonds in the box a lot as well. But Sidney Brown has, a big learning curve, I think, as a rookie. I think that's going to take some time, but he will work. It's possible they use all four. I think they're all going to play at some point. They're going to use at least three. I think they're going to rotate. It's not just like you have two guys and you set it and forget it. There's going to be some kind of rotation there. But look, the Eagles don't have stars at safety, but I think they have enough there to at least get by and maybe actually have some decent quality players.
Another thing I see on repeat is this, Nolan Smith is fast. Like, he's very fast. He's not just college fast, like he's pro fast. So Nolan Smith, I know Jalen Carter's another name you could bring up too, as far as a rookie coming in here and supposed to really be an impact player. But what have you seen from those two of the latest Broad Street Bulldogs, if you will?
Yeah, I think Nolan Smith is made to shine in these practice settings, especially when they don't have the pads on, because he's so athletic. And we know that from all the testing numbers, but to see it is a different thing, just a unique body type, as smaller, quote unquote, edge rusher kind of player who can also take snaps at off-ball linebacker. I mean, it's not just the speed, it's the energy too. I mean, he is just relentless out there chasing down plays like way down the field. He brings a lot of juice to this team. And it's interesting to consider how the Eagles are going to exactly fit him in and where they're going to play him and how many snaps he's going to get. It feels like he's going to have some kind of role because he's active out there. As far as Jalen Carter goes, I think he's a guy who probably is more equipped to shine in the actual game action. There's only so much you can do in practice, especially when they're not practicing in pads and they have these light schedules that they do. But I think, you turn it on the preseason tape, I expect him to shine in those settings, and he's going to be part of the rotation here. But both of those guys, the early returns are positive.
Looking at the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator, two new guys in those roles this season. I think it's the biggest question mark going into the year. Sean Desai and Brian Johnson. Anything you can glom, even before they step foot on the field for their first preseason game, anything you have learned or noticed about those two?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, the running back passes, or the passes to running backs, I should say, are something to keep an eye on. That seems like more of an intentional focus, perhaps a new wrinkle to this offense from last year. I don't know if that's because Brian Johnson thinks that's something he wants to do in general, or it's just how the roster is best equipped to handle that there. Brian Johnson, to me, again, he had a lot of people coming after him as an offensive coordinator. If the Eagles weren't going to promote him, there was another team or multiple teams that wanted to talk to him and maybe make him their offensive coordinator. So I think he's bright. Whenever we've gotten to hear from him, he seems like a really sharp guy. I'm bullish on him. Sean Desai also seems like a bright guy from all indications, but, a little bit more green, if you will. It doesn't have that experience. So, we'll see what we get out of him. And I think he's in a tough spot, too, in the sense that this defense lost a lot of talent. They were so good last year in terms of, these sack records and turnovers and everything, that it's going to be hard to sustain that level. And just because the defense doesn't hit those numbers from last year doesn't mean he's doing a bad job, as much as they were always just going to fall off to some extent. The challenge for him is just, making sure it's not too far and it's not a joke of a defense. Desai, I think, is more of a question mark to me.
Understood. Last thing for you, I always like to ask you a hoops question here. James Harden, that whole fiasco, we get to forget about it for a minute with training camp and the Phillies doing what they've been doing as of late. So when it comes to James Harden and Brandon Lee Gowton, are you on the side that you want him back, or are you on the side of you want that gap year with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey running the show? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm breaking Daryl Morey's rule here and not looking at the roster, but yeah, I am looking at the roster and it's not good. And you just can't. How can you sell James Harden coming? You just can't. It's impossible. The vibes are terrible. I mean, you just can't do it. After what we saw in Game 6 and Game 7 especially, where there was just didn't want to play, didn't want to win. Like, just there's nothing there. I don't know how you can go into the season thinking that's the best course of action. Obviously, there's no good answer here. And that's the difficult thing. There's no well, if we push this button, everything works out. I don't think that exists. The key is making the least worst decision, I think. And I think the least worst decision is moving on from James Harden.
Okay. All right. Now, on that note, everyone's talking about, I'm not trading him for nothing. Darren Moore's not going to unload him for nothing. If you get a first round pick back in a couple of years, by then, probably James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George have already blown up the Clippers. So if you do that, that's a pretty good first-round pick. So if you're telling me that in like 3 years I get a first-round pick on this squad, 4 years I get a first-round pick, that's not nothing to me.
The potential of something is definitely more than nothing.
And nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're pretty much getting nothing. What's the best case scenario, James Harden? Like you do what you did last year, kind of basically, realistically. Like it's not going to happen. You're betting on a player who's only getting worse in theory in terms of like he's aging. He doesn't necessarily the best at taking care of himself. It can't happen. It's also, again, just what is the sell? How are you as a Sixers fan buying into that at all? I can't see it.
I'm with you. Brandon Lee Gouton, make sure you guys are following on Threads as well as on all social media platforms, including Twitter as well. And make sure you guys read all his observations and stories from the link with the Eagles open practice on Sunday night. BLG, always great catching up with you, man. Thanks so much.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Here's what I took away from that conversation with BLG. One word. Bored. Training camp's boring. Everybody knows what's what. Everyone knows what's up. The linebackers are duke it out. Look, all said and done, like he agreed that the thing that stuck out to him from Nick Sirianni's press conference on Sunday night after the Eagles had acquired Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham, the thing that stuck out to him was a very simple thing: competition. They're trying to keep that room with a little competition in it. Whether Kobe Dean's out, it's not just camp bodies. It's not just adding a couple of guys that fill out a jersey. No. It's not that at all. You know what it is? It's competition. But all is said and done. When all is said and done, if he's asking, or if he's being asked right now, which he was, who is going to be the starting linebackers, who are going to be the starting linebackers for the Eagles? Nicholas Morrow, Nakobe Dean. Then you're going to have your outside linebackers, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith. Those are guys that are going to be going out there and providing that little edge rush. But when it comes to the starting middle linebacker with the green dot, it's going to be Nakobe Dean. As I said before the season, and I say now after the acquisitions, I am still buying stock in Nakobe Dean. I'm buying stock, baby. And just hopefully comes back from that injury, for the ankle injury, fine and dandy, and he's ready to party. That's what I'm hoping for, that he just goes out there and he's ready to go. As far as the safety position, the Kayvon Wallace thing, I'm really glad that we got some conversation about that, got some clarification about that. It's not like Kayvon Wallace is going out there and he looks amazing. It's like, he's like, look, the guys that they have are not that good. So the fact that he has done something to get first team reps is worth noting. That's a good thing. And the only reason I asked about the backup quarterback is because I know Marcus Mariota is a name and people are curious about it. And apparently he's been struggling. And I know some more people are curious about it because I know a lot of people watch the quarterbacks on Netflix, which I'm still watching. It really is phenomenal. I recommend it to everybody. That kind of, like if I told you could be in a room with Patrick Mahomes as he does his film study, if you're at all a football fan, you want to see that. If you want to be in the same room as Marcus Mariota getting ready for a season, or if you want to be in the same room as Kirk Cousins as he puts on his little, here's where I'm at right now. He puts on this little, I don't know what you call it, but it looks like a swimmer's cap. And I guess it keeps track of the neurons in the brain and whatever the hell they're doing. And then all that. Kirk Cousins got that going on too. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting show if you haven't seen it. But Marcus Mariota apparently has been struggling in training camp. And he's going to be your backup quarterback. And in his 2 years as a starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts has missed a couple games. So it's definitely worth asking about the backup quarterback. But the safety position is the most intriguing to me. Off the field, the most intriguing thing, the biggest question is still for me, the coordinators and what you're going to be getting out of these two new coordinators. But on the field, that safety position is fascinating because Reed Blankenship is locked in. So you already have one guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. And then you have two guys right now. One doesn't have a lot of experience, and the other has a poop ton of experience with Terrell Edmonds. And then the third option in Sidney Brown has no experience. So whatever happens with that safety position is very interesting to me. Also, I like the idea of him thinking that the whole run, throwing to the running backs thing is going to be bigger and more incorporated than it has been in years past with the Eagles and especially with Jalen Hurts. So I look forward to seeing how that comes out. And as far as the James Harden thing, yeah, you're not going to get much back in return, unfortunately. But let's go back to the buzzword, bored. Brandon Lee Gouton is bored. Bored. I know I referenced this, but man, the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, that was a boring training camp. It was a very boring training camp. Long snappers and backup quarterbacks. Those were the lead stories. They went to the Super Bowl. So when I find myself bored at training camp, I find myself very optimistic at training camp. Who's going to be the quarterback? Oh, we already know that. Who's going to be in their offensive line? Well, Cam Jurgens is right guard, and that was the only question that was there, and he's going to be the right guard for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's bored, and I got to be honest with you, I'm just excited for the season to kick off. That's the point I'm at. Like, even the position battles, yeah, I'll follow it. I am following it, but it's not make or break. Not right now. And the thing that is make or break, we're not going to know a squat about until the season starts, which is what you got from Sean Desai and what you're going to get from Brian Johnson. That's it. That's it. That's really it. I mentioned earlier that this list right here, the list of top 100 players in the NFL, or excuse me, the Eagles, the top 100 of the NFL, these names right here, these 7 names, there's 2 names that I feel can be on this list next year. There's 2 names that I feel have the best chance to be on the top 100. Any guesses? Any ideas? For me, they're both on offense. There's one name, if you had to expand it to 3, that's on defense. But there's one name that really pops out to me that will be on the list next year. If he stays healthy, and if he stayed healthy this year, he would have been on this list. But he didn't. He missed some games. The first name that I think will be on this list is Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert has Pro Bowl talent. I think Dallas Goedert is a top 3 NFL tight end. I think you look at Travis Kelce, obviously, as a clear-cut number 1. I think you look at George Kittle as number 2. I think all around, in terms of just as good, and he's really good at both, pass catcher and blocker, Dallas Goedert's right there. I think he's better than both of them, but the other 2 are better at hauling in passes. So I think Dallas Goedert makes his way onto this list as a top 3 tight end in the NFL. I think he makes this list next year. So number 1, I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert as a guy to get on this list next year. Number 2, another offensive guy. I'm going to go with Landon Dickerson over Jordan Mailata. Now, Jordan Mailata could crack this list next year. Definitely phenomenal opportunity to do it. I think Landon Dickerson is going to make that list. I think Mailata's going to be a Pro Bowler before he gets the honors to get on the top 100 list there. Landon Dickerson has obviously done that, and I think Jordan Mailata is on his way to doing it. The only defensive name to me that was absolutely snubbed as part of the best pass defense in the NFL a year ago, ladies and gentlemen, where's James Bradbury's name? Where is James Bradbury? Where's old Jimmy Brads? Where's his name on this list? Because it's not on this list. I scoured this list. It's not on this list. Where is his name? It's not on the list. Darius Slay. Oh, my God, Darius Slay. No way. 65? And James Bradbury is nowhere from 100 to 66. He's nowhere from 64 to... Okay, let's get crazy. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Number 1? No, he's not. You could easily argue that he had a better season last year, especially the second half of the season, than Darius Slay. When I was filling in on Birds 365 last week on the Jacob Media YouTube channel with Jody McDonald, when I was filling in for our man John McMullen, one of the names that came up was James Bradbury, and Jody Mack made the point. Yeah, you could easily say that last year James Bradbury was the better player, and he's not even on the list. Best pass defense in the NFL. No respect. These players around the league got no respect. No respect, I tell you. Let's get into the chat check and see how you people are doing on this fine Tuesday morning. Where are you at here? I'm going to start it off on the Farzy Show YouTube channel here. April, good morning, April. Hope everyone is safe. Back at you. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? April, Kelsey. April says, man, Kelsey should have been higher. Yeah, what was he? Number 37. Yeah. First ballot Hall of Famer. I got to look at the list and see the highest rated offensive lineman. But yeah, 37 seems low. Or high, low, high. I don't know. Whatever. He should have been better than that. Let me say that. Good morning, Professor Dutch. Professor Dutch joining us. What's going on? Professor Dutch, thanks for the content. Oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks for the content, Farzy. You've been on a ton of hikes in the Pocono Mountains with me this summer. People on the podcast. Hike well, Professor Dutch. Hike well. Just stay away from that. It's poison ivy. It's poison ivy right there. Stay away. He's watching the show, so he's probably not hiking right now. I'll throw that in at another time. Throw that in for another time. King DV. What's up? How you doing? Professor Dutch. I'll bet Schwarber and Mendoza line. I'll bet Schwarber Mendoza line that I can eat more Wawa hoagies and chug more Yingling than him in one sitting. There's as I'm sure there isn't a lot of Acme's, but there's a stand-up of Kyle Schwarber at my Acme. And when he really goes through it, man, I just look at it as I'm, buying my supplies. And I just shake my head. And he's just smiling with his yards and his Yingling, whatever. Yeah, it's a yards thing. It's not even a Yingling thing. Is that allowed? I got to go by there today. Maybe I'll swing back in there. Got to make some meatballs. Got some family coming into town. So I need a plethora of meatballs. Sean Gillespie, Jalen Reagor is not on the top 100 list. What a travesty. I know, right? Ooh, go figure. PJ Wade is a Vikings fan too. Oh, man. I will say this. You have a tender place in your heart for the Vikings. I will just say that. I have a tender place in my heart for the Baltimore Orioles. Maybe not right now with suspending a broadcaster for apparently reading a stat, but whatever. So that's pretty crazy. We've talked about this so many times. My mother's a Vikings fan. Father was a Cowboys fan. Lesser of two evils. Good on you. By the way, the Farzy Show is going to go someplace it's never gone before, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say one word. I think it's one word. Maybe it's a hyphenated word. I don't know. One word. Ready? Shapeshifter. Okay? We're going to go there. Coming up in a second. Don't miss the morning rush. All right, here we go. Joe, what's up, Joe? How many espressos have you sucked down so far? Getting Howard Dean flashbacks with the yells. We're going to go to Washington, Oklahoma. We're going to go all the way to the White House. Ah! Wow, one guy just lost an entire presidential race with, oh, man. That scream was viral before viral was a thing. Oh, it was beautiful. Poor suffering large man. I could deal with a Viking fan, but a Cowboys fan, the horror. I agree. PJ agrees as well. PJ agrees. Just my chosen source of misery. Rocking with Raul and the Two Amigos. Great name. We love watching your show. Me and my co-host do a live show on YouTube and we talk sports. Oh, I like that. Our last guest, Dave Spadaro. We want you to be a guest. I will be a guest. Yeah, let's party, man. Happy to do it. Wait, Raul. I know you, Raul. Yes, I'm on your show. I will do your show. Spuds, though. Let me tell you about Dave Spadaro. Of all the people, Eitan Shander, Sean Brace. I see if people confuse me for those people or those people are confused for me. I don't get Spuds. I get confused for Spuds sometimes. People just see a bald-headed fella, bald-headed sports guy, and they're like, hey, you're all the same person. Spuds, we look nothing alike. Ethnic last names? I guess. Heavy ethnic last names? I don't know. Bald sports ethnic last name. Spadaro. Sean Kilray, why is it we never solve the linebacker problem? Hey, maybe we have. All right, don't give up on Dean just yet. N'Kobe Dean, not Howard Dean. Why is it we can never solve the John Gillespie? Finally down to the rabbit hole publicly? Finally going down that rabbit hole publicly. What? Love when the light bulb goes off for Farzy. I repeated kindergarten. What do we have on the Jacob Media YouTube channel? What's going on? Justin Morris, I hate baseball. We'll never understand how the Phillies are so fun to watch. Please get to the Eagles. Laugh out loud. Justin, look, one of the things I realized about my Jacob Media audience, being a Jacob Media member, doing Eagles pregame and stuff during the football season with Gunner and Seth Joyner, and more to come on that, by the way. I look forward to doing a little bit more work with the fine Jacob Media people. I know that it's a football audience, and I know that my show it spans all the sports in Philadelphia, including, hey, Philadelphia Union, by the way, might be hosting that Messi fella. I don't know if you're aware of the old football, not football, but football, soccer. Messi might be playing the Philadelphia Union in a couple games. Now, that's actually something exciting. Justin Morris, CeeDee Lamb being ranked higher than Lane Johnson already makes the top 100 list a complete joke. I also think they have Fields higher than Lawrence. What? Still good to see Hurts at number 3, though. See, this is why I hate lists, especially lists like this that combine the positions. It's just like, you got to think about position group. Brian Palancar, what's going on? Goddard, you and I agree. Goddard will be on this list next year. Jason A. Farzy, what's good with you when you're back on Birds 365? I don't know. Maybe later this week. Depends on. I literally am just filling in for our man John McMullen, whatever they call me. Usually, how it happens is Xander of Jacob Media be like, "Hey, Farzy, you around tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, let's party." Who am I on with? Jody Mack? Cool. And then Jody Mack will hit me up. Farzy, we got Glenn Macdowell coming up. And I'm like, okay, Jody Aloysius McDonald. Yeah, so I do enjoy that show a lot. That's a lot of fun. And Jody's just awesome. I'm a big fan of Jody McDonald. All right, let's get to the morning rush. I think I got everybody. Shapeshifters! Yes. Oh, it's coming up, baby. Morning rush. But first, let's take care of business, okay? Here's what we got in the wild card standings. While the Phillies were idle last night, here's what went down. Where did you go? Oh, okay, here we go. The Reds beat the Marlins 5-2, so that's exciting. The Angels, I was watching this game. What the heck, man? The Angels didn't do us any favor with the San Francisco Giants. They lost 8-3. Mickey Moniak in that game, I believe, had an RBI single and also took a home run away from Jock Peterson. So that's pretty cool. But unfortunately, the Giants scored 6 runs in the top of the 9th inning to be able to beat the LA Angels. Thanks a lot for nothing. But Moniak now batting .305 on the season, so he has cooled a little bit, but still .305 on the season with a .338 ERA. How about that? And out of nowhere, 12 home runs. That's ridiculous. 12 home runs in 60 games played this year. That's absolutely bonkers. Hold on a second. I got to, while I'm speaking of rabbit holes, let me just look at this one real quick here. No, that's not it. This is it. Okay. Expanded batting for Mickey Moniak. Holy pots and pans. As an LA Angel, he is hitting a home run every 19 at bats. That is pretty flippin' good. But it didn't help the Phillies last night, Mickey Moniak. Brosif. Wow, every 19 at bats. That's insane. Wow. The Phillies okay. Johan Rojas. Phillies will be fine. So I want to give you guys the updated wild card standings. I didn't clip it for whatever dumb reason this morning. Oh, I was getting the Jalen Hurts stuff. That's why I didn't clip it. But as of right now, going into today, the Phillies are still 2.5 games up on the rest of the pack. Giants lead the wild card. They're 3.5 games in that spot, the number 1 spot. The Phillies are 2.5 games in the second spot. The Reds are in the third spot. The Cubs are a game out. Marlins are a game and a half out. Diamondbacks are 2 out. Padres are 4 out. Pirates 7.5 out. And the New York Metropolitans are 7.5 out. Their game end in 7 innings last night. I don't know, but anyway, that's what went down last night for them. As far as the Phillies go with this doubleheader that they got going on today, they're going to play 2 games of their 4-game series against the Washington Nationals. Here's what the Phillies got going on today: 4:05 start time. Zach Wheeler will get the ball in game 1 against Williams. And then Josiah Gray will get the start against Ranger Suarez in game 2 at night. So that's the way that's going to shake out. So make sure we stay tuned for all that fun stuff today. And yes, I will be back on the Jacob Media YouTube channel tonight for Phillies postgame. I'll be on after the 4:05 game, and then I'll be on for the 7:05 or the game to follow. I'll put it that way. I'll be on for 2 postgame shows right after that. So there you go. Wait, Dev's chiming in on Jacob Media. Baseball is awesome in person. You just can't watch it at home, but can't wait to hear your Eagles portion also. Well, thank you, Dev. Much appreciated. All right, let's get Morning Rush. That was the Morning Rush. Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with me here. Stay with me, okay? If you're on a little app called TikTok, which I am, and I am addicted to. Cards on the table, I'm addicted to TikTok. I can't freaking stop, okay? And I was having this conversation with PJ during the BLG interview that I might be on the conspiracy algorithm of TikTok. So if you've seen this woman, then you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the lady that allegedly saw the shapeshifter. Now, just so you know, I don't think there was a shapeshifter on a flight. I never thought there was a shapeshifter on a flight. I look at those, and I think I watch them because I don't think I watch them because I know I watch them because I find them to be entertaining and hilarious. Because I know, like, the clickbait world that the world is nowadays, people will buy into anything. So this lady, in case you don't know her, she's been identified finally after like months, it feels like, of trying to identify this woman. Okay, this woman's name is Tiffany Gomas. Okay, she's 38 years old. She's a marketing executive. Now, she was on a flight. All right, in case you don't know this story, it's insane. She was on a flight and she jumped up out of her seat and she said, "That person's not real." She's dropping F-bombs about how it's not safe. And she's like, "That person right there, you can fly with that person if you want, but this plane isn't going to get to its destination. You can stay on this flight and die with this MFer, but I am not going to." She's like terrified, man. She's like screaming and yelling and terrified. And she exits the plane. They then, the military police, then the airline police ended up catching up with her, and they don't arrest her or anything like that, but they do. I think they cited her for a ticket, which she didn't sign. It was all this like crazy stuff. This is all just coming out. They finally caught up and got this information out. People on TikTok were saying she saw a shapeshifter. She said that. So the thing, the big catchline, the big catchphrase from the whole thing was, "That MFer back there is not real." And she goes off. So then everyone starts with this conspiracy about how she saw the Maui, basically a shapeshifter, okay, from another dimension. And I'm laughing at it, right? But people are really starting to get intense about it on social media. And I'm like, this is hysterical. So they finally land her. They finally find out at least who she is. They get to her LinkedIn page and all that stuff because the police report was released, or tracked down, I should say. And they get this information about her. And yeah, she's 38 years old. She's a marketing executive. And I think the least surprising thing about all this is that our friend here, Tiffany, is from Dallas. All this hoopla about an alleged and a potential Cowboys fan? I'm not at all surprised. Not at all surprised. Delusional? Sound like a Cowboy fan? For the record, and this is what I was looking for. Now, one thing the story did have right, it was like, this was over an alleged shapeshifter. Saying a shapeshifter stole her earbuds, her AirPods, whatever. That part of the story was right, that somebody stole her AirPods, but apparently it was a member of her family that she was traveling with that I guess she became disgruntled with. So the internet's a fun place. Yeah, my algorithm, and I think my algorithm is, for the most part, my algorithm is sports, fishing, woodworking, girl in a bikini, conspiracies, and pasta grannies. Those are my triggers. That's where TikTok's like, oh, we know what to get him to keep watching. You ever see? It's a Southern Italian thing. I think it's Sicily and Calabria, and the people will take the doors off their hinges to make a bigger table. To have like either a bigger pasta board, or to dry out red peppers and tomatoes. Leave it to the Italians. These old Italian women with screwdrivers taking the doors off their hinges. That's a good time. April, she thought she saw Jerry Jones. That's hilarious. You guys are great. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Coming up at 8 o'clock today, right here on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, Jody McDonald and I think John McMullen, maybe. We'll be talking all things Eagles on Birds 365 coming up at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great as per usual. I'll be back with you guys for 2 post-game shows today on the Jacob Media YouTube channel for the Phillies doubleheader. So I look forward to talking some baseball with you guys as well. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show. I'll be back with you guys tonight and then again tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.